Hey guys, how's it going? Lighty here, and today we're talking about how to craft ES shields, not just cast spamming. We're talking about the three real methods there are. Now I say three, and when I mean ES shields, I'm talking specifically about titanium spirit shields. They have the highest base, they have the highest base value, and you want to get them eye level 84 at least, so you can make something like my shield here. Now my shield's pretty fucking expensive, it's roughly 40 exalted. It's has a bunch of T1 rolls and T2, so it's it's about almost as high as ES shields can realistically get, which is like 670. So 650 is plenty good. Like that's more than you're ever gonna need for most builds. So how do you make your own? Well, that's really the question. If you want to buy one, that's in most cases the best route. But titanium shields or shields in general are actually pretty easy to craft. We're gonna go over the three methods. All right. So step one, get your ID4, buy one. Cheapest thing to do, easiest method. There may be a chaos early in the league. There may be expensive, but after a week, they're probably a chaos anyway. PoEtrade.com, you go buy one. Next step, make it 20 quality. Link it if you want, stock it if you want, doesn't really matter. So the first method we're going to talk about is the one that most people do, which is just chaos spamming. So all you got to do, use Alchemy Orb, and then you just start blowing fucking chaos on it. You just left click until you see your energy shield roll, which is listed right there. You got to hit a few ES rolls, at least 2, for it to be decently high. 400 is kind of the baseline, and this method can be used to make pretty high shields. It's random. It's random as random is random, since it just, as it says, reforges a rare item with new random properties. So technically speaking, you could use one Chaos Orb and, make an insane shield kind of like mine. Alternatively, you could use thousands and not get it. But at the moment, the price of Chaos is 120 to 1 exalted. So Chaos are dirt cheap. So Chaos spamming, well, is a viable method. Now I'm not going to sit here all day and do this, but you get the gist of it. Eventually, you just look at your ES, and sometimes you will see it go kind of high. You have to basically hit tier 1 or 2, or the highest 2 tiers of flat fizz and percent fizz to get any real respectable number. And sometimes you'll see stuff like this happens, which is you hit a T1%, but you hit the lowest flat, and it even hit int and res and block chance, which are all good things, and but it just doesn't go anywhere. Now the reason we're using shield, and the reason why shield is so good, is they actually have a really nice pool of prefixes and suffixes. So what I mean by a nice pool of prefixes and suffixes is this is the PoE's wiki affix website, so you can look at energy shields. You can see the prefixes. As far as dead stats go, reflex is a dead stat, gem levels is a dead stat, mana and life are dead stat, but you have your 3 ES rolls. You have percent, flat, and hybrid. You also have spell damage, which is pretty good for a lot of builds. And the suffixes, there's a lot of good things. You have res, so it's 5 res rolls, int, which is good. Mana regen is good for a lot of spells, and spell crits. The only real dead rolls, or rolls you never want to see for suffixes, are life regen and stun and block recovery. So there's actually a pretty good amount of things you can hit that are viable and usable for your build. So aside from chaos spamming, the next method we're going to talk about is using Shrieking Essences of Hatred. Now the reason I use Shrieking Essences of Hatred is because they are roughly a chaos. So it's the same price as you just using one chaos for chaos spamming. Now you have to buy essences, which is kind of annoying because you have to trade in path, and trading in path will actually give you cancer. So I don't suggest doing that. But if you want to go that route, and you can find a buyer that has a munch, or maybe just do what I do, which is make your party title want to buy Shrieking Essences of whatever specific essences you want, hatred being the one. And the reason you use this is because on shields it guarantees 42 to 45 cold res. All right, which is tier 2 cold res. Now, that's pretty good value. Basically, you're just using one essences, and it's guaranteeing you a T1 res or T2 res, which is, there's no reason you wouldn't want that on a shield anyway. So it's the same price as using a chaos, but it gives you at least one targeted mod. So you'll always have that res roll. There's other ones, there's anger, hatred, and wrath. Anger and wrath are normally 3 to 4C, so I don't suggest that. But if you can get it for 2C, maybe. But in general, these are pretty cheap for the as far as the hatreds go. You can use the lower ones if you want, but the reason you want to use Shrieking Plus is because it's for Shrieking and Deafening, are the T1 and 2 ones. It says upgrades the normal item to rare or reforges it, which means you don't have to scour it. Lower ones don't have the reforge option, you just have to rescour it. So that's the second method. The third method is what I use to make my shield, which I call, the old-fashioned way, which is alt-aug regaling, and then crafting it from the ground up, basically. So for that, all you have to do is you alteration until you hit a T1 prefix roll. You want to have at least percent, hybrid, flat, or spell damage. You want to have one of those T1s, which I just hit unsaleable, which is percent. Again, to consult, what rolls are what, you can just go to the, Path of Exile wiki type shit, and you can see, all right, so this is percent, I collect percent, T1, where the fuck is it? T1% is unsaleable, and that is what I have. You'll just memorize the rolls eventually. For example, unsaleable, like it says here, is 121% plus. So basically you see 120 plus, or you could also look for the name. It says unsaleable titanium shield, and then you use a Regal Orb, and you hope to hit another of the T1s. Rinse, repeat. It's a pretty active, connect blast, pretty active crafting style. You're gonna be clicking quite often, but like you saw, you do hit these rolls quite often. So again, I am regaling again. I hit an ERS roll, which is ironic. Sadly, it is the lowest possible one. So rinse, repeat. Now, I like this method personally because it feels a lot more engaging. The normal ones. Here's T1 flat, which is the best scenario. And we hit life regen. Now, just so you know, if this is super early in League and you really don't care about your shield, you can mastercraft up to 68, which gives you about a 400 ES shield if you hit T1 flat. So no matter what, you could at least hit 400. So for example, say I regaled into spell damage and had a res suffix, and I would like to craft this, and I have a 400 ES shield with at least respectable rolls. That about wraps up at least the methods there are. It's pretty straightforward crafting titanium shields. You could get extremely lucky, you could get extremely unlucky. Like I said, buying a 500 ES shield is roughly 1 to 1.5 exalted, which is kind of what you're going for a starter shield. A shield like mine, which is 650, is going to run you at least 40 exalted, if not more. Even more so if they have open suffixes, which mine does, meaning you could remove the suffixes with Haku and try to exalt slam them to get better rolls. So just as I was getting off of this shit, I happened to just craft, there you go, that's two T1s right there. So what you do in this scenario, again, I don't suggest, like, this is the next step per se, is you craft a suffix with your master, and then you slam the prefix. Look at that, I hit percent, not the percent I wanted, but I did hit percent. So this is basically, I just spent an exalt and change making a shield that probably cost roughly an exalt, so I broke even in a way. I can, put a new res on, and I could reduce some more things, but that's essentially how it's done. You just want to get a little more lucky in hitting a higher percent roll, kind of like I did for this one. If you have any questions about crafting, feel free to ask them below. This is the, clear cut and speed method of crafting titanium spirit shields. I do not suggest doing it for profit. In the long run, you're probably going to get a better shield for cheaper just buying one, but if you want to craft one, these are the 3 methods I use, and these are the 3 methods that you should use also. I'm Matt Lighty, and you guys have a good day.